Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Field Trip Energy. I am so excited to show you this episode that I recorded with a great friend and mentor of mine, Greg Sims. I met Greg back in 2015 when I was in an acting class, and he came to speak to us and he talked to us about fear. And I had never heard someone so eloquently speak on this category. He highlighted areas of the human psyche that I found to be profound. And if you think about fear today, a lot of us are super able to admit, oh, I'm afraid of heights or I'm super afraid of spiders, but we sort of hesitate to bring awareness from our subconscious of what we actually are deeply afraid of. Does that look like switching careers, ending up alone in life, having children, these big sort of existential fears in our lives? So that's kind of the conversation I was so grateful to have with Greg today. He's just such a wise mind, and I am always blessed to get to speak with him. Welcome, Greg. It is so good to see you.
Oh,
Welcome
good to
to
see
Field Trip
you.
Energy.
Hey,
Yes.
Lucy. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about how long you've been running practical goal setting for and how that got started?
I had developed what I now call practical goal setting technique for myself on my own years before. Um, because years before I hit bottom with addiction to alcohol and addiction to drugs. And if it's addicted, if you can get addicted to it, I've probably been addicted to
Yes.
it in my life at some point. No one
Yes.
ever gave me a needle, thank God. So I've never done that. But
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of compulsive addictive behavior. So I eventually hit bottom with that. And with the help of other people who had gotten sober, I got physically sober myself as well. And as you can imagine, when my life crashed from hitting bottom with the addictions, my acting career had totally crashed as well. And
Yes.
so I got sober. I was looking to, get my acting career going again. And I began to realize that this very practical, active philosophy that was keeping me sober one day at a time and seemed to be at the heart of sobriety was also very related to the craft of acting. And I wondered if I could apply this philosophy to the sort of business end of my acting career, like, getting an agent, getting work, doing the stuff you need to do to have an acting career. And so this philosophy was and is a very stoic philosophy. And the Stoics say, and when I say Stoics, there's like two of them really, I mean, which is Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, and they've each got one book. There's
Yeah.
many different translations, but I've got them all over I've got different copies all over my desk, but there's many different translations.
Yes.
Uh, but they're great. They're great books. And in a nutshell, their philosophy is there are things you have power over and there are things that you don't as a human being. And if we
Yes.
focus on what we have power over, we lead happy, meaningful lives.
Yes.
And if we focus on what we don't have power over, we drive ourselves batshit crazy and we're miserable. That's my translation, but that's basically what they say, right?
Absolutely.
And what I've seen over the years, and it was definitely my experience as an active addict, was that I think not just addicts, but humans, like a moth to the flame, we are perpetually drawn to try and get power over that which we will never have power over, but we
Yes.
can't help it, right?
Yes.
So this technique I developed for myself, I began to organically develop this way of articulating goals and breaking them down into actions and tricking the brain into spilling the beans on what the unconscious fear is that blocks us or was blocking me from moving towards that which I was truly called to do. And it worked, and I started getting acting work and got TV show, and a bunch of stuff started happening. And then again, eventually, I was burnt out and fiscally challenged by the life of an actor. So I wondered if this goal setting technique I developed for myself could help other actors. And so it's really become this great joy of my life. But it, as you and I were talking even before the podcast, I think what it's really about, and again, there's very specific exercises and techniques I've developed over the years, but at the heart, it's really about, for so many of us, I think, and we live in a society that amplifies this absolutely, which is we worship the goal.
Yes.
We worship the imagined result of the goal.
Yes.
And we spend a lot of time in surface egoic thought, obsessing and managing, which is actually connected deep down to old, often formed in childhood, delusional ideas that I call old beliefs.
Yes.
Aren't actually true, but we think they're true. And so this is keeping us lost in fear management, surface egoic thought. And so I think the real journey to growing up is about learning to move towards the goal for its own sake. Meaning,
Yes.
another way to say that is, I want the movement towards my goal to be a playing field where I practice certain principles and virtues. And
Yes.
so, in the movement towards the goal, which is all I have power over, moving towards, I grow up as a human in that process. And it ultimately doesn't really matter if the goal ever happens.
Right. Right.
But if I'm worshiping the result, even if I get there, that's bad freaking news.
Totally.
Because now I am more attached to this delusional thought, which is usually some version of, I need to be a success to be loved, or if I'm rejected, I'm a piece of shit, or I'm
Yes.
destined to have a meaningless life, or whatever it is. So I think one way to articulate it is the whole reason, or a main reason, we're called to do certain things, besides just the great mystery of what that is. But I think one reason we're called to do it is so it can bring up these buried fears, these self-centered delusions that we need to face in
Yes.
order to really grow up. I
Yes.
know I just said a lot, so hopefully
No,
that makes
but
sense.
you have the most profound insights. And I always look back on our time working together, and I'm eternally grateful for the trajectory you put my life on.
Thank you, Lucy.
You're
Thank you.
such a mentor, and you're such just an important part of my growth.
Mm.
And so I can't thank you enough. And I'm now a therapist. Like, I started as an actor.
I
And
know.
I remember being like, oh, Greg is over here just changing lives left from right. So I'm so grateful to have you on today.
Well, I'm so
Um,
grateful to be here, Lucy. And I got to say, it's such a delight. It's an honor and a delight and a privilege to be here. And just like your energy and seeing, I mean, physically, yes, but
yeah,
underneath, just your energy, right? You just are in such, you seem to be in such a healthy place. And
thank
when
you.
we work together, this is the journey. Like a lot of actors who I work with, and it's not just actors, it's anybody, but what it's so hard to realize is the thing that I'm called to do is often just a cocoon. What I
Yes.
mean, it's just the thing that I need to move towards that may not happen, or definitely won't happen the way I think it is.
Right.
But here you are, a therapist, helping people, doing something that has deep meaning. Do you know what I mean? That speaks to your
Yes.
soul, but you couldn't have gotten there
Yes.
if you didn't, weren't moved towards doing other things first.
Yes. You were such an integral part of me understanding that element you touched on, worshiping. Right. I
Yeah.
was worshiping the idea that I would have the top comedy sitcom on the networks,
which
like,
is which is so human. I mean, the gag I like to say is like, I'm 54,
yeah.
and if the 54-year-old, if it was like a Terminator thing where the 54-year-old Greg were to go back to the 28-year-old Greg, and the 28-year-old Greg is like, okay, what's going on? Am I,
Yeah.
am I as famous as Steve Buscemi? Am I as famous as as whoever it is, right? But
Yeah.
I had this idea. It's like, I don't have to be Brad Pitt, but I need to be, at
Yes.
least by the time I'm 54, I'm doing independent films, and I'm like the guy on the show and a reoccurring guest star on the HBO badass thunder, grit, or whatever the hell, right? And so if the 54-year-old Greg would have said to the 28-year-old Greg, no, you're not really famous at all as an actor, not at all. You do work and you do work that has meaning and you write and direct, but the thrust of your work life is you coach actors, you teach actors, and you work with people from all walks of life on
Yes.
screens. That's another thing. COVID, you don't need to know about that right now, but it's all screens. A lot of it is on screens. You will be coaching people in this goal setting technique that you developed, and
Yes.
you will get more meaning from it than acting. That young 28-year-old Greg would have taken a gun and
Yes.
shot the 50, like, I got to kill the future to save the past. John Connor must rise. It was like, no way can that be my life. And
Oh my
I said,
God.
like, no, but you're happily married. You got a
Yes.
10-year-old daughter. You've been with the same woman for 16 years. And again, I would have been like, no. I'm supposed to have a woman in every port. I'm supposed to be Indiana Jones meets Bill Murray meets.
Yes.
So, but here's the thing, right? Is that is so human.
Yes.
And still today, in any given moment, I can be driving down the freeway and see an old friend of mine on a billboard because he's a movie star, and I can go to hell like that. But that's okay because I have the tools and I have the habitual way of working with and surrendering the delusion when it appears.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of when will I be delusion free, but
Mhm.
how can I become more and more aware of the delusions when they arrive and do what I need to do to work through them?
Yes.
Because the ego is always there
Always.
saying it's not enough and we need to be famous and we need to be a superstar. And the ego is not going to stop. The ego is doing its job by trying to take over.
Right.
But what we need to learn is an organic way of putting the ego back in the basement where it belongs, because it's got a job, but it's like from a Tom Waits song. It's like the one-eyed troll in the basement shoveling coal. You know what I mean? It's just supposed to shovel the freaking coal into the furnace and keep the ship going.
Yes.
It's not supposed to lead the ship. Right?
Exactly. Exactly. And you touched on something, talking about the compulsive brain. And I think the ego and compulsion are like best friends. They're tethered.
I thought when I was younger, I'm as neurotic and as effed up as you can be without having like a hospitalized diagnosed condition. Like, and I'm just missing life because I'm constantly trying to figure out how to figure out how to figure out what to figure out. Why can't I do the fucking thing? So for me, what I've come to see and the great gift and honor of working with so many different individuals from, you know, all over, all different corners of kinds of people, that it seems like we all feel that we are uniquely neurotic and something is sort of uniquely wrong with us. And the way these what I call old beliefs, these buried delusional fears often manifest themselves is like, you know, there may be an email that someone needs to send about this business that they're starting, and they have this friend who started their own business, and the friend has said to them, just email me anytime and let's set up a meeting and you can pick my brain. And so the person who wants to start the business is like every day thinking, I just need to send that email. I just need to send that email. And they sit down to send it and they're just losing their shit.
Yes.
And we are often loath to admit how frightened we are about doing something that part of our brain knows is not a big deal. Like part of our brain knows, like, I am not going to be shot or killed or sent to an annihilated existential prison if I get this email wrong, but it really feels like my life is at stake. This is going to lead to horrible shit. I can't do this right now. Or the other thing that can happen is we're not even fully conscious about the obsessive fear, and we go to send an email and it's like, but I need to work out first, right? And now we live in this time where it's like, you don't even, I mean, I don't have my phone next to me, but it's like, let's imagine this is the phone, right? It's like, it's so easy. The amount of time to get the impulse to run from the thing that's triggering us and distract ourselves is like 0.3 seconds or whatever. And then as soon as we pick the device up, the odds of now getting out of it and getting into creativity are so slim because
Oh,
there are girl and boy geniuses in labs right now getting paid $1 gazillion to figure out how to get us more stuck on the screen and how to take away more of the tiny shrivel of attention that we have left,
ooh,
right?
it's so
So,
true.
so how, what do we do? Well, I think the first thing is to admit that we do have these old beliefs,
Yes.
that we have to admit to ourselves that, wow, I'm sitting down to just send an email.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm in a war zone, or I feel
Yes.
like I'm 12 years old and about to get beat up, or I feel like
Yes.
I'm alone in the house when I'm 15 and I'm just in my room. It's these, again, often formed in childhood old beliefs. And one of the tools I use when I work with people that you mentioned, I call it TAG, just
Yes.
the fun acronym
They're
that
so helpful.
yeah, and it stands for truth, acceptance, go. And it's also just a fun way, a fun word, I think, to like tag fear, you're it. Let's play tag with my fear, right? It's
Yes.
not
Yes.
meaning I don't want to run from the fear. I want to play with it. And it's meant to be a tool to
Hmm.
discover what I need to face and to get to the very good news that I'm deluded, that it
Yes.
is not life and death,
Yes.
but it feels like it's life and death. So when I teach people this way of taking this quick written inventory, you know, basically it's without thinking, getting the fear on paper
Hmm.
and then writing the fear behind the fear behind the fear behind the fear sort of stream of consciousness just vomiting on the page
Yes.
until you get to something that is 100% false,
Yeah. Catastrophic.
undebatably.
Yes.
And yes, it looks and feels catastrophic, but it is, from the rational part of our brain, we can go, that is delusional. That is not true for me. It's
Yes.
not true for my daughter. It's not true for my worst enemy. And
Yes.
the linking phrase I often have people use is, because of that I have fear, because of that I have fear. But you can also, because some people are averse to using the word fear, so we can
Hmm.
say obsessing. I'm obsessing about.
Right.
Or I'll sometimes work with a client and they're like, yeah, I don't really have fears. I don't have
Sure.
obsession. And I
Yeah.
say, yeah, well, yeah. But I
Sure.
say, are you fucked up about shit? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm fucked up about a lot of shit.
Like,
I'm like, okay,
I'm
great.
fucked up
I'm
about
fucked
shit.
up about this and I'm fucked up about it, right? So
Yeah.
for example, that person who's going to write the email about the business to the friend, if they can admit when they're about to do it, like, I am terrified. I
Yes.
am like catastrophizing this. I am like, this is way out of proportion. It's irrational. So they
Yes.
can grab a little pad of paper and write on the little pad of paper, I'm obsessing and have fear about sending this email because
Yes.
I have fear it won't make sense to my friend and they won't be able to help me. And if my friend's not able to help me, I have fear I'll never start this business and it won't be a success. And if
Yes.
this business is never started and doesn't become a success, I will be crushed by regret and my life will be meaningless.
Yes.
And we look at that and we see it in black and white on the page. If my business isn't a success, I'll be crushed by regret and my life will be meaningless. And
Right.
there's usually two big realizations, which is that is not true for anybody. I don't believe for a second that little souls are born into the world, little babies come out, and it's like, you need to win the gold medal in figure skating or you won't experience real love. Next. You
Go
need to
for it. Yeah.
make $80,000 a year your whole life or you will be crushed by regret. Like, we know
Yes.
when we step out of ourselves, we're like, that's just not the way humans are geared. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
but we also look at it and go, but I think it's true for me.
100%.
If you knew me, the way my dad was, the way I was raised, my DNA, I know it's
Yes.
crazy, but if this business idea doesn't come through, if I am not a heralded success in this one area, I really believe I'm going to be crushed by regret and my
Yes.
life's going to have no meaning. And often when you write these old beliefs, as you know, they often come out in this like beautiful dark poetry. It's stuff like I'll
Yeah.
be annihilated. I will just be lost in the void. It'll be meaningless.
Yes.
And so these are the existential things that we need to face. And what I coach people to do is help them to identify what these old beliefs are and help them admit that they're not true. And then we practice articulating, well, what is true?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning and often it's helpful to pretend a loved one, like someone pretend their daughter or someone they really admire. You know what I mean? Michelle Obama, whoever it is, but
Yeah.
someone said to them, if your daughter said to you, if my daughter said to me, Dad, I have fear that if I'm not a successful dancer, my life will have no meaning. I'll be crushed by regret. I wouldn't say to her, we're going to get you a better coach. Don't you worry. Like I wouldn't do that, right?
No.
What I would say to her is, oh, baby, time out.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you end up being a professional dancer. It doesn't matter. So what would we say to the loved one? That's what we can write down for ourselves. And the tricky part, but the beautiful part is when we're writing this out, we're admitting, I don't emotionally, psychologically believe it.
Yes.
That's okay. I won't for a long time, maybe ever fully, because this old belief has been with me inside for so long. It's not going to go away overnight. But can I articulate what is true and practice acting on what is true, even when I don't believe it?
That's crucial.
Right? So
Yes.
the new empowering truth of that person sending the email may be something like, whether or not my business is ever a success has no bearing at all on anything that has real and lasting value in my life.
Yes.
As long as I imperfectly practice my ever expanding values and principles, my life is destined to have value beyond measure. I will never be crushed by regret. And what's most real about me can never be annihilated.
Yes.
And you say that to the ego and the old belief, and the ego and old belief is kind of like, technically that's true, I guess.
Yeah, the ego's like, well,
what can you say, right? But if you
right.
say the trap people make with with positive thinking or mantras, the trap people often make is, oh, my fear is my business won't be a success, so
Right.
I will say it will be.
Right.
But then we know that's bullshit because it's like the second Civil War may start in a year. You know what I mean?
Right.
I may get hit by a bus. I may get a rare disease. There are many things that may happen. So I can't manifest my business being a success. I'll call bullshit on myself, right?
Yes.
What I said previously, that we know deep down to be true.
Yes.
So then I help people, break their goals down into these really bite-sized, doable, imperfect steps, just like one little step a day, but clearly in the right direction, and practice acting as if the new empowering truth is true, even when we don't feel like it is.
Yes.
We learn to, along with the self-hatred, the fear, the shame, like you do with a baby who's crying. Do you know what I mean? The baby who's crying, you don't go, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's going to be okay, right? Because the baby has the old belief that hunger will kill it.
Right.
And we do two things with the baby. We let it know that it's going to be okay.
Yes.
And we let it have its feelings.
Yes.
We don't make the feelings go away. We're like, I know, you're hungry. Okay, let's get you some food. It's going to be okay. And we can do this, we can practice doing this with real creative action. We have to actually be taking creative action while practicing the attitude. And then things begin to change. I think what happens with most people is when it comes to what's blocking them to move towards their goals, they either want to go, there's no boogeyman. I don't have a boogeyman. There's no boogeyman. Not me.
Yeah.
No, but, or the boogeyman, or they act like the boogeyman is real.
Right.
And so they never take the journey. And as you and I were saying before the podcast, I think the journey is really about coming to see that we can detach from result and focus on the creative action moving towards the goal, which of course, then we come to see it doesn't matter if the goal ever happens. And we come to experientially understand that the movement towards whatever the goal is is just a playing field to practice our principles,
Yes.
our virtues through creative action. And this
Yeah.
is why also I help the individual break down their goals into just this is something doable that you're going to do today. For at least 20 minutes, you're going to write that email. For at
Yes.
least 20 minutes, you're going to work on the business plan. It's simple, but it's active. And then I encourage the individual to treat it like a Japanese tea ritual, like an
Yes.
active meditation,
Yeah.
where really I can take a tag if I need to before I do the thing. And then I want to practice acting as if my new empowering truth is true while engaged with real creativity.
Key is the bite-sized pieces. And I think
Yes,
it's a metaphor for the tag because if we look at the tag, you said, I'm afraid to send this email. It goes all the way down to it's going to annihilate me and I'm going to regret my whole life.
right,
And I think that's what people don't understand that haven't peeled back the layer and looked at their own fear is
right.
like we are fearful to send a simple quote email to something that could expand our business. But what is lying underneath that? Why can't we and our friends are out here sending emails left from right?
Right, right,
Right?
right. Well, that's the thing too, is that everybody everybody's a broken human, right? So
Yeah.
the friend that like is why can they send all their business emails? But it's like if you looked at that friend in their dating life, they
A
may
mess.
not be able to even say hello to a person they're attracted to. Do you know what I mean? Or their children are twitching in the corner and they're just like, will not see that. You know what I mean? So there's
Yes. Yes.
everybody's got their shit, but
Yes.
the shit is meant to be turned into fertilizer. And this
Yes.
is why when someone comes to work with me, and I always do a free like 20-30 minute intro session with people so they can get a feel for it. But one of the things I often point out to people is that, you know, because a lot of times someone, for example, will be like, God, I'm just not sure if I'm meant to start this business and or to be an actor and I'm just wrestling with it and I can't let it go, but I can't take action on it. So what I say is like, look, well, it sounds like you need to really take real creative action to move towards this thing
Yes.
because this is where the resistance in your life is. It's actually coming up all over the place. We just can't fully see it. But the area that the most triggering areas are the ones we need to go into
Yes.
because if you're terrified of the color red, start painting your room red. So
Bingo.
you wake up in the morning and the first thing you see is the one area of the wall that's red. And now you gotta, you don't want to paint the whole room red at first,
Right.
but you don't want to have the goal of your life not, see the color red or
Yes.
magically suddenly, be in a pure red world, right?
Right.
So it's the baby steps, but also like you said, Luce, it's the baby steps too, so we can really confront because again, people are often just like, I don't know what's going on and I can't do this and this and it's there. And usually we blame circumstance. We blame
Yeah.
people, places, things. And, it's like, it's hard to see in us, but we can see in the friend, right? The friend who says to us, you're not going to believe this, but it turns out I'm dating another psychopath. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
we all know that
It's like,
because
yes, I can believe that. Yeah.
yes, I can believe that. You date psychopaths. But
Yes.
they literally are the friend that is just like, oh my God, I got fired from the job and you won't believe what happened. It wasn't my hash cookie. It was a friend's, but they left it in front of the customer. And even if it seems like, wow, that is totally a victim of circumstance, as they're talking that he fucking did it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
You're like, I don't know how you did it, but that is what happens to you.
Yes.
So we have a large part to play in certain patterns
Yes.
that are happening to us. So by breaking things down in these small bites, suddenly the individual, when I tell them like, okay, for day one this week, Monday, what we're putting down on your plan here is all you have to do for at least a shitty 20 minutes. Like nothing has to happen, doesn't have to feel good, don't have to make big progress. You can do it for more than 20 minutes if you want, but all you have to do is just 20 minutes of a rough draft
Yes.
of an email to the friend. we're keeping it so simple. And I have the, as you know, the client in the morning when they look at their little notebook they've made, they decide based on their schedule as it really is, okay, 2 p.m. I'm doing nothing from 2 to 4. So at 2 p.m., I'm going to write that rough draft of the email just for a shitty 20 minutes, take a tag if I need to. And then what often happens is 2 p.m. comes and suddenly the person is like,
I can't do it.
Using my mind. But because we've broken it down, it helps them get clear about there is some kind of delusion.
Yes.
I have framed it and I can't help but see it in such an eminently doable way.
Yes.
And also the big thing I really hopefully gently hammer home with folks is this approach is no fail. Like if, as you know, I have people meet with me and they're like, well, nothing happened. I didn't look at my notebook. I just poured coffee on my notebook and let the dog eat half of it before our session, Greg. Yes. I did nothing. I'm fucked. Yes. What do we do? And what I say to that person is, great. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
Let's talk about the resistance that happened.
Yes.
And you are exactly where you're supposed to be. That's probably the number one thing I say to clients is this system is no fail.
Yes.
Because if it's not no fail, it's just one more thing for the ego to try to win and get perfect, which the ego won't get it perfect. So if the ego can't get something perfect, which almost everything it can't, then it will just settle for being a fucking failure.
Absolutely.
Because then it feels special because it got to feel special because it fucked everything up.
Absolutely.
Right?
And the key thing you said that is so important is it's a shitty 20 minutes. I remember that specifically and going, oh, literally, I can just set a timer that says 20 minutes and sit here because I don't want to write the beat sheet of my sitcom I'm writing.
Right.
I think most writers are really going to relate to this. Nobody likes to see a blank page.
Well, it's like, you know, and I'm a writer as well. And it's, you know, when I was younger, I would sit down to write a screenplay. And what I didn't realize was I was sitting down to prove I was great. Because I had an old belief that if I'm not a great writer, great actor, a bunch of great things, but when I was writing a screenplay, it would be like, if I'm not great at this, I'm fucked. I'm going to be annihilated. It's my only shot at having meaning. So I would sit down to write and it would be like, Jack walks into the bar, orders a Jack and tonic, a Jack and Coke. Bartender says, hey, what's up, man? And then I just be like, oh, this sucks, you know? And because I wanted to just feel greatness, right? Instead of just show up for a shitty 20 minutes. Yeah. And I can just let the vision, like we said earlier, let go of the image and be given the vision.
Yes.
And this is also why they say the old gypsy curse is, may you get what you want.
Yeah.
That's the gypsy curse is, may you get what you want. Right. Because it's not going to make you happy because you're attached to the image. Yes. And you're not focused on living and creating and practicing principles. So if you're just going after what you want blindly, you're going to miss the whole show.
Absolutely. That is, that one really landed with me. May you get what you want. I mean, you can just think back 6 years ago in your own life and think of something you were worshiping and had to have, and then think of it today and go, whoa, so glad did not get that.
Yeah. I mean, we can, of course, it's great to do that, right? Like I said, I'm 54. I'm married to the woman of my dreams. We've been together for 16 years. Our daughter is an amazing angel. I mean, we're all human. We're all fucked up human. So it's not paradigm.
You have a beautiful family.
I have a beautiful family. And when I was like 26 or whatever, I can remember being in New York City, dramatically in the rain, crying on my knees in front of Allison, begging her not to leave me for the guy in California. And she was like almost like looking at the invisible cameras, like, who are you doing this for? What is going on? Thank God she left me. First of all, I was an alcoholic and I cheated on her 7 times. So he should have left me. But if she didn't, if she would have said, let's get married, my life would be, I wouldn't have my beautiful life. Right. And if I would have been the star of the Greg Sims show when I was 28 and have some hit TV show, I am a gambling man, although I no longer gamble. But if that would have happened to the 28-year-old Greg, he would have been the star of a television show. I would bet that I'd be dead right now. I would not be
Yes.
here anymore. I would
Yes.
not be here anymore. Right?
Yes.
You really haven't faced some stuff and have certain practices of certain principles and certain understandings of life and certain rituals and habits ingrained in your life before you get the ultimate what you want. If you're one of the people who, again, we all want that. If
Sure.
someone said, right now, Greg, push this button and you could be a movie star, I'm going to push it.
Sure.
I'm like, think about it
Yes.
later, but I'm going to push it now.
Yes.
But odds are it's going to destroy my life.
Yes.
So that's why, and I've worked with some people who are famous and celebrated and rich, and they struggle the most
Hmm.
letting go of result and really being creatively present and just moving towards shit for its own sake and
Yes.
building a simple life of creative flow. It's much harder for them than the person who is in a more incessant stage of building a career or whatever. So wherever you're at, now is the time, but you don't want to wait for fame and fortune to happen before learning to detach and put principle first, because it doesn't work out so well for most people.
Absolutely. What would you say to somebody listening today who's in full-blown neutral mode in their life and they have not faced a fear? They probably don't think they even have any fears, really, but they're very dissatisfied in their life.
I would say maybe practice getting curious about that
Yeah.
and
Yes.
just also seeing what happens if you try to back away from some of the numbing behaviors. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
What happens if you put your phone down for 3 hours, which honestly most people won't be able to do,
No.
but attempting to do it and then noticing how much you want to go to it can show us something.
Hmm.
I even have this crazy exercise that'll blow people's minds, but I have a client sometimes carry an index card in their pocket or in their purse. And just for 24 hours, every hour on the hour, you need to take out the card and write down what you literally did,
Yeah.
including like if you were on the internet, what did you literally do?
Right.
Like if you spent 40 minutes reading about Taylor Swift's rumored affair, you have to write down like 40 minutes. You know what I mean? Like if you were just on Amazon Prime
Yes.
looking at movies you might watch later, but you realize like I spent 30 minutes
Doing
looking
that.
at movies I might watch. If you can do this exercise, and it really causes repulsion to attempt it, but to really begin to see like, what am I literally doing?
Yeah.
May help us hit bottom.
Yes.
Because if some of us can really look at what we're literally doing, we can then ask ourselves, who would choose to do this?
Yeah.
Why would I wouldn't wake up and choose to do what I'm doing.
No.
So I must be in some kind of coercive, compulsive, unconscious, compulsive behavior
Hmm.
because I wouldn't choose this and I wasn't planning on this. But again, we live in a time where unconsciousness is so promoted,
Yes.
we
Yes.
don't even realize it's happening.
It's terrifying.
I don't want to pretend to be another person who's saying they don't have delusion.
Hmm.
I think what I want to do is have tools and practices in place to help me become aware that I'm deluded
Hmm.
and surrender the delusion and then take some principle-based creative action
Hmm.
so I can wake up and have what a mentor of mine, Victoria Santa Cruz, would call the inner virtue guidance system,
Yes.
like an intuition. We all have it, but I think we need to practice certain principles: service, faith, honesty, integrity. There's certain things we need to practice that then awakens our inner virtue guidance system, which also promotes these virtues, which I believe are inside of us as humans, but we need to act on them in order to awaken them.
Hmm.
And then something very interesting happens. But if we're not acting on the principles and virtues and just trying to wake them up with thought,
Hmm.
that doesn't happen.
Hmm.
But we think it's happened
Yes.
because we're stuck in thought. So we
Yes.
think thought is life, and we're just thinking and watching and thinking and watching and thinking and watching,
And not doing.
not doing and seeing.
Bingo.
People are thinking and watching, but not a lot of people are doing and seeing.
Especially what we've touched on today with like how much is working against us to do that, especially today. So much
Yes.
distraction,
Well,
more
yes,
than ever.
more than ever, right?
Greg, I can't thank you enough for taking time here today out of your busy schedule. You have just made such an impact on my life. I really can't say enough to honor how much I appreciate all your insight and wisdom.
Thank you so much, Lucy. That
Yes.
means so much to me to hear. It is so good to see you again, to be with you again.
Yes.
And your words really move me deeply. And it's always been a real honor to work with you and just watch your life blossom.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Greg. All
You're
right, I'm
so
going to hit unrecord. That was incredible.